Today, we're diving into the 2021 movie Sweet Girl. But before we begin, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. The film begins with a high-stakes police chase, a helicopter tracking a suspect from above. The scene shifts to Ray standing on the ledge of a rooftop, the police spotlight locking on him. The FBI shows up, and an officer pleads with Ray to give up, saying it's over. Ray, distressed, responds that this wasn't how things were supposed to go. He turns and leaps off the roof, plummeting hundreds of feet into the water below. We then flash back to several years earlier, showing Ray with his wife Amanda and their daughter Rachel on a forest trip. They enjoy a serene camping getaway by the riverside, where Rachel dozes off in Amanda's arms as Amanda softly sings to her. Ray lovingly watches Amanda, but their joy darkens when Amanda is diagnosed with cancer. Once again, a doctor recommends an expensive drug called Infirm, but the family is financially strapped and can't afford it. Time moves forward, and they celebrate Rachel's birthday, with Amanda giving her a stuffed bunny named Paloma. Ray and Rachel share a bonding moment over boxing practice, where Rachel skillfully spars with her father. Later, they get some encouraging news from the doctor about a new, more affordable drug called Sparrow, almost approved by the FDA. Ray and Rachel are thrilled at the hope for treatment, but their optimism is crushed when they learn that Bioprime, the company behind Infirm, has paid to indefinitely delay Sparrow's release. In a televised interview, Bioprime's CEO Simon Keeley debates the high cost of cancer treatments with a politician. An enraged Ray calls into the show, accusing Keeley's business tactics of risking Amanda's life. He threatens to kill Keeley if Amanda dies. Shortly after, Ray and Rachel sit by Amanda's bedside. Rachel hums a tune to soothe her mother, but it's too late. Amanda passes, leaving Ray heartbroken. 6 months later, Ray is back in the gym, boxing, but grief still weighs on him. He returns home to find bills stacking up. Rachel tries to lift his spirits, but Ray receives a call from Martin Bennett, a journalist at Vice. Martin is investigating Bioprime and other corrupt entities involved in bribery, and he believes Amanda's story could be key in exposing them. Ray agrees to meet him, advising Rachel to stay home. Despite this, Rachel follows him to the subway, and they board the train together. Ray meets with Martin, who shares incriminating details about Keeley's offshore accounts and bribery schemes. Just as Ray considers helping, a hitman appears out of nowhere and stabs Martin, killing him. The hitman then attacks Ray, while Rachel watches in horror. Ray fights back, smashing the hitman into a window. Rachel tries to intervene, but the hitman throws her off the train. As the train comes to a stop, Ray delivers another blow to the hitman and rushes to Rachel, but the hitman stabs him and throws him out the window. On the platform, Ray's eyes meet Rachel's as they both fade out. Fast forward 2 years, Rachel is fiercely boxing in the ring, unleashing her full power on an opponent, nearly choking him out as he taps, showing her loss of self-control. Meanwhile, politician Diana Morgan is seen drafting a bipartisan bill with Bioprime, alongside Simon Keeley and Chairman Vinod Shah. Rachel wakes up, speaking to Ray about Amanda, while Ray steps aside to examine a wall of research. His attention is drawn to an upcoming UNICEF charity auction, where Simon Keeley is the keynote speaker. That evening, as guests arrive at the auction, Ray parks nearby. He sneaks into the venue through a back entrance, steals a caterer's uniform, and blends in. As Simon delivers his speech, Ray quietly places an out-of-order sign on the men's room door. After the speech, Ray heads to the main hall, spots Simon, and deliberately spills a glass of scotch on him before walking off. Annoyed, Simon goes to the restroom with his guards, where Ray ambushes the lookout guard with a fire extinguisher. Ray bursts into the restroom, holding a knife to Simon's throat, reminding him of the warning about Amanda's death, and demands to know who ordered the hit on Martin. Simon tries to avoid the question, but under pressure, admits Vinod Shah's involvement. Just then, Simon's guard attacks Ray, triggering a fierce fight. Ray overpowers them, forcing Simon to shoot his own guard. In the struggle for the gun, Ray kills Simon by suffocating him with a plastic bag. Ray rushes home, telling Rachel to pack quickly, explaining he had no choice but to kill them. At the crime scene, the FBI questions the surviving guard, who mentions overhearing a conversation about a woman and a death threat. Agent Sarah Meeker orders a review of all death threats made against Simon Keeley. The FBI identifies Ray Cooper as the caller who threatened Simon on live TV, linking him to the car seen leaving the scene. Sarah issues an APB for Ray's vehicle. As Ray and Rachel drive through snowy back roads toward Toronto, their car details are passed to two mercenaries. They stop at a motel, and while Ray unloads the car, Rachel sneaks off to a payphone, calling Sarah. Rachel insists her father is innocent and that there's been a misunderstanding. Sarah gives Rachel her personal number and asks her to stay in touch via burner phone, but Rachel hangs up before Sarah can get their location. Inside the motel, Ray rigs a makeshift alarm using a bell on the entrance door. He then enters the room, where Rachel remains upset with him for his brutal actions. Meanwhile, the mercenaries enter the motel. The bell jingles, waking Ray, who quickly takes Rachel and sneaks out. They hide at the end of the hall, where Ray ambushes the first mercenary, engaging him in a fight as they tumble down the stairs. Ray chokes the attacker and then faces off with the second mercenary. He grabs an axe, heads toward the bedroom, and hides in a cabinet. When the mercenary arrives, Ray attacks, sending them both crashing out the window onto a car below. In a final scuffle, Ray overpowers the mercenary and shoots him with his own gun. Grabbing extra magazines, they flee. Back at their apartment, the FBI searches the place and finds evidence linking Ray to the murders, confirming him as the prime suspect. Sarah then gets word of the double homicide at the motel and Ray's escape. Despite Rachel's frustration, Ray tries to reconcile with her. The film shifts to the hitman from the subway, who targets a van at a car lot. When the owner approaches him, the hitman kills him, steals a shotgun, and drives off in the van. Ray and Rachel continue their journey on snowy roads, but decide to go off-road as things become more dangerous. Ray parks, checks the mercenary's phone, and finds multiple calls from Vinod Shah. He discovers Shah recently bought a mansion outside Pittsburgh. Later, Ray chops down a tree to block a tunnel and practices shooting in the woods, showing his lack of skill. During this time, Rachel contacts Sarah, worried that Ray is losing control. She mentions Paloma, the stuffed bunny, and Sarah assures her that she's the one in control. Rachel insists on going with Ray on his mission, and after some hesitation, he agrees. Meanwhile, the hitman prepares explosive shells for his shotgun, testing them with devastating results.
At nightfall, Ray and Rachel stake out Shah's mansion. They see the hitman's van just as Shah leaves. Ray follows Shah, and as SUVs tail him, Ray scatters screws on the road, flattening a tire. He parks in the tunnel and moves the barricade. When Shah's convoy hits the tunnel, they find the road blocked. Shah orders a retreat, but a bulldozer slams into the rear SUV. Ray emerges as Shah's SUV gets stuck at the tree, and the hitman shoots at the trapped vehicle. Shah tries to flee, but Ray demands to know who the mastermind is. Shah refuses to answer, laughing, but the hitman shoots him. Ray flees with Rachel, but the hitman chases them, shooting out their rear tire. They abandon the car and walk through the woods until they reach a station, stealing a tow truck to get away. As they drive, Rachel notices the hitman's van parked by a cafe. They stop, and Ray confronts the hitman inside the cafe. In a tense conversation, Ray learns Diana Morgan hired the hitman to eliminate her rivals, exposing her as the mastermind. As they leave, the hitman ominously tells Rachel they'll meet again. The next day, Ray and Rachel drive off in the tow truck. Sarah at FBI headquarters becomes more concerned for Rachel's safety. The FBI receives a report of the stolen tow truck, and Sarah orders surveillance footage. That night, the truck is spotted entering the city, launching a massive police pursuit. Ray and Rachel evade through the streets but get stuck in traffic at a bridge. Ray abandons the truck and runs, with the FBI on his heels. He reaches a stadium, leading back to the opening rooftop scene. Sarah begs Ray to step back. In a jaw-dropping twist, it's revealed Ray actually died in the subway, and it's been Rachel enacting the entire plan. She killed Simon, fought the mercenaries, confronted Shah, and faced the hitman. On the rooftop, Rachel prepares to leap into the water, ignoring Sarah's pleas. She jumps, is rescued, but later attacks the agents in the ambulance, causing a crash. Rachel escapes, collapsing on a bench, where Ray's ghost comforts her. Rachel then attends Diana's speech, watching as the hitman makes his appearance. Later, as Diana heads toward Congress Hall, Rachel manages to sneak inside. Her thoughts are consumed with memories of Ray, and she dons his jacket, heading towards Diana's office. When she arrives, the hitman attacks her, throwing her out of the office. They engage in a brutal fight outside, with the hitman attempting to drown Rachel in a fountain. Just when she is about to lose consciousness, she hears Ray's voice encouraging her to stay strong. His words fuel her determination, allowing her to overpower the hitman. She stabs him multiple times until the fountain is filled with his blood. Fueled by rage, Rachel goes back to Diana's office, forcing her to confess everything, her involvement in the bribery and the plotting she carried out with biocrime. However, instead of killing Diana, Rachel chooses to leave, secretly recording the entire confession on her phone. The FBI receives the recording, which leads to Diana's arrest for all her crimes. At last, feeling a sense of peace, Rachel leaves the city behind and boards a plane, ready to start a new chapter of her life. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more movie recaps.